Hello everyone and welcome to the Chef's Table series. My name is Carol O'Connor, co-host of this instructional and engaging cooking show. Today on the show we have a well-known local chef. His name is Chef Manny Sifnugel and he is chef and owner of Masona Grill. He visited us today and he's going to be making two special dishes. To your right we have Shrimp and Avocado Timbal with a spicy mayo and cilantro. And over to your left, we have a pork tenderloin with black bean, tacutacu, and sweet plantains. So let's go over to Joe and Manny at the Sons of Italy Hall in Roslindale to learn how to make these delicious dishes.
Hi, I'm Chef Joe Murphy from the Chef's Table series television show. This show is produced by the Chef's Table Foundation, and we're really pleased today. We have a great chef. I've known Chef for probably 7-8 years now, and he has a wonderful following. He is the chef owner of Masona Grill in West Roxbury, and I'd like to welcome Chef Manny Sifnugel. Excuse me.
That's good.
Yeah, and so today, Chef, you're cooking a pork dish?
We are. That's our main course, yes.
Okay, and first you're going to make a...
We're going to do a little shrimp and avocado and beet timbal. Timbal is basically just in a cylinder, so it holds its shape and its textures. Yeah.
Yeah, great. That sounds wonderful. And we do have a live audience, so we're hoping that they enjoy the show as well as you. And we might as well get rolling because we have a few different dishes we're going to make, as we just said.
Absolutely.
So, what are we going to do first, Chef?
So, first, I thought, when I emailed Carol, I thought that you guys will have the recipes in front of you so you can see what we're doing because the stuff is already prepped ahead of the game.
Okay.
So, the first dish is a shrimp timbal, I said, with avocado, beets, red onions.
Okay.
A little hot mayo that has a little Peruvian hot sauce, ketchup and mayo, and a little dash of lime juice. So I do have all the ingredients already cut up, and I will put them in a bowl and toss them all together, and I'll plate one dish for them to look at, and then we'll eat it later.
Good.
Okay, so
that sounds good.
Again,
Chef, let me ask you a question. A Peruvian hot sauce. Okay, what is that? Just peppers or hot
yeah,
pepper?
they're hot peppers, with a little bit of vinegar, but they're very nice and hot. Yes.
Okay, is that common in the Peruvian culture? Hot,
very
spicy?
common. When you were a kid, if you behaved bad, that's what they gave you, a little pepper to put in your mouth. Okay. No soap, it was pepper.
All right.
All right, so we have some cooked shrimp that it's been cooked lightly, in some boiling water, and then chop. No shells, no tails. Oops. And then again, we have the avocados here.
All right.
So we're gonna just mix it all up. This is about 6 avocados and about 2.5 pounds of shrimp.
Okay. Great.
Okay. Then we have about 4 large beets that were diced also as well, and to try to be the same size, a consistently size.
Okay, let me ask you a question about the beets.
Yeah.
Were these a canned beet?
No, they're fresh beets.
Roasted?
We actually boiled them.
Boiled.
Roast them, some people roast beets, but I don't think the flavor really gets any better than if you boil them.
Okay.
Roasting them can take a lot longer, and it's hard because some of them are different than others in sizes per se, and one will be done, the other one will not be done. So I like the idea of boiling them and peel them after too, when they're hot.
Right. Chef just gave you a great tip. If you're using a fresh beet, some people will roast them, but his point is that they're not uniform in size, so it's better to boil them. Now, do you take the skin off?
No, we take the skin after it's boiled.
After it's boiled.
Usually when they're they're still warm, the skin just comes right off.
Right. Okay, great.
All right, so we're going to add some red onion as well.
Yeah.
Red onion is one of my favorite vegetables in any way, shape, or form.
Okay.
We're going to season with a little bit of salt, and we use kosher salt.
Right.
Has a better grain to it and much more flavor than the regular table salt.
Yeah, and we talk about the difference between salt You know, a kosher salt is a much larger crystal than what you're typically using in the home, a table salt. And by volume, they have the same sodium content. But because of the larger crystal, I personally believe it does have a better flavor.
It does, it does.
And you get enough of that flavor enhancer using less salt with the kosher. So, and that's what you'll find in professional kitchens. You may find sea salt sometimes, some chefs prefer that, but you'll never see table salt.
All right, so we're lightly tossing it just so we can see where it's distributed. If you add the mayo first, then mayo will hold on to certain particular product, and it will just be all avocado on one side and all beets. So just mix it up first.
That's
so that
another
way,
great tip.
So
Chef
that way,
gave
you know,
me.
like you're really spreading it around, and you
Right.
see what you're going to throw the mayo in.
Right. Yeah, you know, I was making tuna a week ago, and I did what you said don't do. And after I did it,
You had a
I'm
mayo
trying to
sandwich?
get everything, yeah, exactly. You know, there were clumps of celery and onion, and then other parts didn't have it, so.
Also, where I come from, I mean, you can actually make this completely vegetarian, and they use actually diced potato and diced carrot too. For some reason, it's called the Russian salad. I don't know why it would be Russian, but maybe because it's Russian dressing, like the tomato and ketchup thing.
That's in Peru?
All right, so I do have the mayo already made. And as I said, you can use any hot sauce. It could be Tabasco. It could be any of your choice.
Right,
And I usually like to ask a little bit at a time
yeah.
because, you know, mayonnaise can be a little fatty, I guess.
Right. I want to talk about the amount of heat. You know, cooking really is a creative form. So if your guests or family likes a lot of heat, you adjust. If you don't like much heat, you just want to add that extra layer in there. So you can adjust. And, you know, as Chef was talking about the recipe, we do have that, and it will be available online so that you can actually take your laptop or your pad and cook with the chef, have the recipe. And one thing I didn't talk about, which I'm disappointed, mise en place, everything in its place. Every good chef has everything ready, and that way there you don't forget an ingredient, but it also makes your cooking experience far more enjoyable.
Absolutely. And I'm using a spatula too, just so you don't, the avocado will be the softest thing here. So if you use the spoon or you get into it too hard, the avocado will just become mush, you know?
So you're doing a folding technique.
Correct, yeah. And then I just squeezed, limes today are pretty big. So, you know, usually it's a whole lime, but I just did a half a lime, just to add a little zing to it. Now, I want to give a shout out to microgreens that are just amazing. And this is like fresh cilantro shoots. So we're also going to put some cilantro in here. Look at, there's even seeds in here.
Wow. So you're sourcing from local.
Yeah, we are sourcing from all kinds of different farms. Yeah, at least
that's
three.
great.
At least 3 farms. Yes.
Yeah. You know, and fresh makes a huge difference in your cooking. So.
Absolutely. Yeah. So once again, we're going to just toss that cilantro.
Now, with the amount of heat that you like to use, is it enough to punish me if I get out of line?
You
or is
good
it-
old Irishman? Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
You'll be
you know,
sweating, yeah.
I said this last week, I think, in the show. I'm
Oh,
American, but
okay.
Irish descent, and we're not used to these heavy spices.
You know, everything is in moderation. You
Right.
can always add more heat. I believe that it's not super spicy, but again, you know, I love spicy. So.
Right.
All right, so we're gonna plate this dish like we'll do it in the restaurant.
So you like spice.
Yeah.
So you were probably a fresh kid, so you got
Oh, I
big
was.
doses of that, right?
I most likely was,
Yeah.
yes. And still am. So this technique that I'm using the cylinder, that's what it's called, a timbal. Timbale in Italian means cylinder. So
I'm guessing that is about 1.5 inches tall.
Yeah.
If you wanted to use this for a presentation, you didn't want to spend the money, get a small tuna can.
Yeah, you open it on both sides. That's
Both
exactly what you
sides,
do.
it'll do the same thing
Yeah.
for you.
So basically, when you pull it up, it just stays in that shape.
Beautiful.
Then you put a couple more herbies.
Yeah. Yeah. You
And
know,
then
this
you're
is
gonna just throw a little olive oil just for color. Just olive oil. And a little more pepper just for the plate. And if you want to get fancy, a little paprika on the plate too. That's it.
Yeah. That's great. Great. And you know, as you view this, you can see presentation counts.
Oh yeah.
It really, if you want to do something special with your family or friends, this is a great way to get the wow factor. Okay, Chef, we're going to start our second dish, and why don't you explain what we have here?
Well, we have a little more complex dish. We're going to sear a pork tenderloin. It's going to be served with a black bean and rice tacutacu. Tacutacu is a rice and bean cake that is crisped on a Teflon pan, so it's kind of crunchy on the outside. We're going to also saute a couple of ripe plantains that are called maduros. They're pretty sweet, and a little pickled onion right on top. So we're going to start first marinating the pork. I already have a piece here that has been marinated, so that's the one I'm going to cook, but I'll show you the marinade because it's quite interesting. So about 1/2 cup of red vinegar, and we have some brown sugar here. So we put a couple of pieces of brown sugar. And brown sugar and vinegar, actually, the vinegar makes the brown sugar dissolve pretty quickly.
Is that because it's the acid, the pH?
Yeah, the acid, yeah, exactly. Okay, after that, we have some paprika. You can buy the smoky paprika, the Hungarian one, or just regular good old American. A little bit of cayenne, and a little bit, because it could be hot. Some dark chili powder. So you gotta go heavy on that. Obviously your salt and pepper. And last but not least, some cumin. Cumin is coriander seeds that are toasted and then ground. Lots and lots of great flavor. So
Now, this is a typical Peruvian dish?
it's more like Caribbean, Central American, but
Yeah.
I mean, we eat a lot of pork in Peru. Yeah. In Peru, we use another pepper too. It's a smoky pepper called panca, but this has a lot of flavor.
Yeah, let me get that.
So, 2 chefs in the kitchen. So we have the piece of pork tenderloin that it's, as I said, it's been marinated, but I'll just keep it in there for a minute. So can we turn that
Sure.
burner on?
Yeah.
Just do it at like 400. I've never worked with this burner, so I'm hoping that I'm set the place on fire. So.
Now, Chef, you know, we have a time lapse going here on the marinade. How long would you recommend this be?
At least an hour.
Okay,
I mean, it could be as long as, because vinegar is going to cook your product.
right.
You know, anything with vinegar, lemon is like a cooking method. So 2 hours, 3 hours at the most. If that, you can just remove it. I mean, all the spices and the coatings will be there too.
Okay, great.
All right.
Yeah, so Chef just gave you another tip. You know, a ceviche is made with lemon juice, and they'll do shrimp, scallops, fish.
Yeah, shrimp is usually cooked, so the shrimp, you know, it's just like a lightly toss. But with fish, I mean, really, like 20 minutes,
And it's
10
cooked.
minutes. I mean, in South America, it's to order. It's like really raw with that lime flavor. But, you know, if people want it a little more cooked, I would say 10 to 15 minutes tops, so because the fish will really eat up that citrus
Right.
big time.
And that's the cooking method, the citrus, it's the pH. Okay, Chef.
Is it hot?
Oh, it's red hot, yeah.
Are you sure?
Stick your finger in there, you'll find out.
No, it's not hot enough.
You know, I always talk about this. Do not be afraid to get that pan smoking hot.
So while the pork is cooking, we are going to have a couple other things. I have here about a cup of, maybe 3/4 of a cup of cooked white rice. Any parboiled rice is good. We have some stewed black beans here. So I'm gonna heat up a little pan here.
For your cooking, do you have a rice preference? Do you use a basmati?
I love jasmine rice.
Jasmine,
Yeah.
okay.
Jasmine rice will be my favorite. But jasmine rice has to be eaten after you cook it. Don't reheat it. Just make it in a burrito or something, but it has to be, it's hard to reheat. Jasmine rice just turns into mush, you know? Yeah. All right, so in another pan here, we have some chopped garlic.
Remember, when you cook garlic, you just want it golden. Do not let it burn, because once that garlic burns, it's going to ruin your whole dish.
All right, Joe is right. But you want it to be a little brown, though. You don't want it to be raw. The minute you can smell it, you know, and if the pan is hot, that's the key. I mean, usually in the restaurant, the pans are so hot. The minute you throw the garlic, it gets crazy. So we've cooked these black beans with carrots and and onions and water. And all the spices right here, the same thing. Cumin, salt, pepper, and paprika. The trick is when you cook your black beans from scratch, per se. You have them soaked in water overnight or for a few hours. You throw your garlic, your onion, your carrot, you saute that until they're nice and cooked. Then you throw the dry black beans. Then at that particular time, you throw also all your spices. So that way the oil that is in the pan is going to coat the beans, and then you throw your water. Usually 3-to-1 ratio with beans, because the beans take a little longer to cook. And the spices really eat up with the oil. I mean, almost like it's like a toasty flavor with the beans. So these beans are pretty much done. And after the beans are completely cooked, you get like a potato masher, and then you mash them a little bit, because you want them to be softer, so you can mix them with the rice.
But you still
And this
want
is
the
what
texture.
comes out. So the beans are a little bit like, almost like refried, but they're not like completely, there's still some whole. So that way, when you make the cake, they stick together. Okay. Anybody knows, plantains are the big, bright green, island bananas that are hard as a rock when they're really green. But when they're completely black, people think, oh, we got to throw this away. No. Actually, you peel them, and they're so sweet. They taste, I think they're much better than the tostones, which are like the dry ones. To me, those have no flavor. Well, in the same pan that we're doing the pork, I'm just going to heat this up a little bit.
Now, when you peel these plantains,
Yeah.
do they need to be cooked at that point when they're really ripe?
Well, when they're ripe, yes. When they're raw, you have to slice them, or actually you cut them and then you have to pound them, cook them, and then pound them again, and to me they have not a lot of flavor. You see how the brown sugar has made like a little caramelization too, so it's nice and coated.
Now, Chef, when you're doing this pork, do you go for a medium rare, or what do you recommend?
I love medium rare.
Right.
Pork, most people will go medium
Right.
or medium well, depending on the cut. I think the tenderloin is very tender. It's actually one of my favorite cuts of pork. I'm not a big fan of pork chops because I think they dry out a little bit.
Yeah.
The key thing with a piece of meat too is you cook it and then you let it rest, so all the juices stay in.
Yeah.
We're burning the plantains? No, we're not. We're going to turn this one off. Okay, so now we're going to sort of complete the dish. I'm going to make the tacutacu, the black bean cake. So we're going to wait for this little zzz to go away. We'll go from the other one,
And
okay?
you're actually letting it rest in the pan.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Quick question, and you can share this with our viewing audience and our guests. In a kitchen, you're not sticking a thermometer in there. You're doing
No.
it by touch, correct?
Correct, yeah. So,
Right. I always like this technique
Yeah.
where each finger has a different feel in the muscle. And, for a really rare, first finger, thumb, If that feel matches this, then it's gonna be rare. Medium rare, medium, and then well done, because that muscle tightens up. So, we've decided to change over one of our induction burners, which we normally use, because Chef needs a Teflon pan to finish this dish. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Right.
Again, a little olive oil in the pan.
Yeah.
And the reason why the Teflon pan is just because you want it, you don't want this to stick. You want every little piece to come out. So a couple of minutes, maybe about a minute for the oil to heat up.
Right. Well, while that's heating up, Chef, I just want to ask you a question. You know, depending on what the chef is trying to accomplish, but if you are using olive oil, just remember it has a very low smoke temperature, as opposed to a canola or a different type of cooking oil. I like olive oil. I cook with it a lot because I want that additional flavor. So I make sure I'm watching the heat of that oil. And I don't know if that's what you're looking for, Chef. Is it a flavor?
It is, yeah. I mean, olive oil has great flavor, and you want to add your flavors. The oil is going to reflect what you're cooking. If you're cooking in peanut oil, it's going to be like peanuts. You know what I'm saying? It definitely has that.
Right.
So trying to mold this, and the reason why it's also a small pan like that is you can cover the bottom of it. And, you know,
And what is the Peruvian name for this?
well, tacutacu is a rice and bean mixture. It was a leftover type of thing, the big rice and bean pots, you know.
Yeah.
What are we going to do with this? I mean, and because it's made in this type of pan, you actually can flip it and make like an omelet. And South America, they serve with all kinds of seafood inside. I mean, it's,
Wow.
and you know, you have no eggs or nothing.
Yeah.
So,
That's great. So what you're trying to accomplish here is to get a crust on the bottom of this, correct?
correct, yeah.
Okay.
So the tricky part, which you got to be careful when you do this at home, you know, is like you're going to flip it and then you see like it came into the other side. I mean, it's a lot easier than you think. And, you know, with the way they trained you is you do it with actually like beans or something, you know, like, and I do it with my left hand, look, and I'm a right-handed person. I can't do it with my right.
But I want to make a point here for the home chef, okay? He does this quite a bit. If you take a plate a little bit bigger than the saute that you have, put that on top and then just turn it over, and then you can, once that's on your plate, just slide it back into the pan. And, you know, you don't have to have it falling off the ceiling on some poor guy's head.
All right, so we're going to finally put this dish together. And one term that we use in restaurants a lot is called the vehicle. So the vehicle is like the mashed potato or the rice bean cake, which will go on the bottom of the plate, you know. So then you start piling the food on top.
Right.
So you got your pork. And again, one more trick for the pork. You see the grain going down this way? Yeah. So you got to cut against it. Okay? This is going to be nice and medium rare for me.
I'll tell you, you know, we always talk about smell-o-vision. Everything smells wonderful.
Okay. Then you have your few plantain pieces. And then we have another delicious pickled onions.
Oh, lovely. Now, you make your own pickled onions.
Of course, yeah. And more cilantro, just for color.
Yeah.
And I actually brought another sauce. And we got a little red pepper panca sauce here, just for this dish. A little messy. And then you just sort of like, and that's it. Always want to garnish the plate with a little paprika.
Right. Oh, it looks absolutely beautiful, Chef.
There you go.
Very good. Great job, Chef. Chef, quick question. If the person does not eat a meat or chicken and will eat fish, what, a scallop be good with this dish?
Grilled shrimp will be perfect.
Okay.
Any fish, grouper, swordfish, tuna, any fish really. I mean, any fish would be perfect with it. Yeah,
Okay.
no problem.
Yeah, and then if you didn't, if you were pure vegetarian, you could add what to it? You have,
You can add grilled zucchini,
yeah,
asparagus,
excellent.
sugar snap peas.
Yeah.
I mean, anything that has, you want to have contrast in flavors. Something has to be crunchy, something has to be soft.
Right.
You know, something has to have like a smoky flavor, a milder flavor. There's sweet, there's tangy, there's soft, there's meat, there's heat, and we're done.
Great. Chef, this has been a great presentation.
Thank you.
And if you want to, again, go to the Chef's Table series.tv website, you can actually re-watch the show, and the recipe is posted on the website so that you can do exactly what the chef did.
Okay, so I am now going to make
Thank
food
you.
for you guys, and we can all have fun and have a glass of wine.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Frank.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's craft beer pairing. My name is Carol O'Connor, co-host of the Chef's Table series. I am here with Kelsey Roth. He is the brand manager of Craft Beer Cellar as well as a certified Cicero. Today I gave Kelsey the task to choose a wine to go with Masona Grill's Pork Tenderloin with tacutacu. I hope I pronounced that right.
It sounds good to me.
Yes. So the dish is Peruvian. The chef owner of Masona Grill, his name is Manny Sifnugel, and he's originally from Peru. So which beer did you choose today, hon?
So I chose Samuel Smith's Nut Brown Ale. This is a brewery out of England. They've been brewing out there since 1758. So they've been around
Long
for a little
before
while.
us.
Yes.
Long before us.
And this is kind of an classic example of an English-style brown ale.
Okay.
It has a nice little roasty note to it. It has actually a little bit of a nutty character too, and some nice sweetness to it as well. And this is when paired with that pork tenderloin.
That's a beautiful color.
Tacutacu, which I had to look up what that was, and it's a black bean and rice patty that they make. And so that's going to have a little bit of bitterness to it. There's some pickled vegetables, the sweet plantain.
Yep, that's right, yep.
So we're going to match that, the roastiness of the pork tenderloin with the sweetness of the plantain, and this beer is going to help tie all that in together.
Oh, wonderful. It's a beautiful color.
So it has that really nice kind of caramel toffee smell to it, the aroma, I should say.
Let me twirl it a little bit.
Yes, we are fancy and twirl it.
Oh yeah, I can smell it now. I had to twirl it. So everyone twirl your beer so you can actually enjoy.
There's also
scent.
just a little hint of butterscotch in there too, and which is normal for the style, and that actually comes from the yeast, and that I think is going to just go so nicely, bring out the sweetness of those plantains.
Kelsey, that tastes excellent. I love it.
It's absolutely a world-class beer. Yeah.
And I was going to say, because sometimes I'm goofy, that this beer was named after the artist Sam Smith, who is from England, but this was in 1735. None of us were around then. This is excellent.
Yeah. And a fun thing
job.
about this brewery too is locally they still deliver kegs by horse and carriage.
No,
So,
they don't.
yeah.
Oh, I love the history part of it.
Yeah.
Love it. Awesome. So, Kelsey, thanks for choosing a great beer. I mean, this is very enjoyable. Even on its own, it's enjoyable.
Yeah, it is. It's delicious.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, everyone, this has been the craft beer pairing for Manny Sifnugel's Pork Tenderloin with tacutacu, and I'm Carol O'Connor.
I'm Kelsey Roth with Craft Beer Cellar. We're a proud supporter of the Chef's Table Foundation.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the interview segment of the Chef's Table series. My name is Carol O'Connor. I am here with owners, husband and wife, Hector and Miriam Morales, and they own Recreo Coffee and Roastery. So I want to thank you two so much for coming to, to come on being part of our show. And I love the decor of your place.
Thank you.
It's so nice and warm.
Thank you for having us.
And it's such a welcome to have you in West Roxbury. And I grew up here, so I'm really happy.
Well, we feel very happy to be here.
Good, excellent. So tell us about, I love coffee, everyone loves coffee, but tell us how you source your beans.
Okay. Well, our coffee here at Recreo, it's single sourced. It's sourced from my family's farm in Jinotega, Nicaragua. The farm has been owned by my family for almost 50 years. And it's 364 acres, the whole farm, but 190 are the plantation itself. We have another part of our farm that's a reservation that we take care of. Our farm is Arabica bean in the majority of our plants. And we bring the coffee straight from the farm into the United States ourselves. We import it ourselves, so we don't use the middlemen.
Yes.
And what we serve here at the cafe is only our coffee. So it's single source and single state, not only from one country, but one farm. And what's special to me is that my family grows it with a lot of love. And obviously through the years, they've been able to learn how to conserve a lot. We're sustainable. We recycle a lot of what happens in the coffee process of the growing. We are 300 acres, but 1,200 meters high. And so that's a lot of a specialty quality for coffee. And
it's a beautiful place. The
I'm
first
sure.
time, the first time I went there, I fell in love with the whole plantation. It's about 4 hours from Managua, which is the main capital. The temperature is usually between 60 and 78 degrees, which is ideal for coffee.
Okay.
And the farm, it's in the coffee belt in Nicaragua. There are many other farms around, so it is perfect for growing all the beans. And there are several things that are very interested about the farm. It's shade grown also, so usually for the perfect maturity of the coffee beans, they should get between 30 and 40% of the sunlight. That's why we grow also some other fruit trees like bananas and grapefruit, guava.
Too bad you couldn't bring those here.
Yes,
Eat them. Eat them and drink coffee.
Just to protect the coffee plant from direct sunlight. And we also only pick the red cherries, the fruit of the coffee plant. It's called a cherry, and we only do hand picking to get only the ones that are perfectly matured at the proper time. So that's very particular and very good about the farm.
That's interesting. Now I want to go back to sourcing. So you said single source. Are there other places that do like two source or multi-source?
yeah, well, the majority of coffee businesses have sourced coffee from an importer who buys from different countries and even different farms. And so you might have like a Costa Rican coffee, but it might be different farms in that coffee.
Oh, I understand.
So our single source, when you come and you taste our coffee, it's something that's unique from the farm. So it's like our nuances of our coffee is chocolatey, almondy, nutty flavors. But what gives that flavor is how it's grown, the soil, the plants around that gives it that shade. So you're tasting something special because it comes from one country.
Exactly. And I just learned something. That's interesting.
And I think the other aspect is, that my family, before we started importing the coffee and bringing it and roasting here, my parents used to sell to an exporter. So the coffee would go, they didn't know where to go.
Yeah.
But now even for my father, who's been working really hard for 50 years, and for him to know that his coffee that he's growing in his farm, it now gets to somebody in a cup of coffee directly. So for him, it's a dream come true. So that's really special to my heart because I'm able to now not only bring a very good coffee to West Roxbury, but bring something that is a proud product of my parents.
Exactly. Straight here.
Mhm.
Like that's
Exactly.
phenomenal. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
It's like it's family in our community. And I love coming here. I love the taste of the coffee.
you.
I'm not adventurous yet, but I think after we speak more about roasting, maybe I'll jump to the medium and bold roast that you said a lot of people like. So that's what I'm looking forward to, definitely. So I want to thank both of you for being on our first segment today. And everyone, this is our coffee segment. I'm here with Miriam and Hector Morales. They own Recreo in West Roxbury. And we'll see you next time for our coffee tip.
Thank you.
Hi, we're back at Verrill Farm in Concord, Massachusetts with Steve Verrill, the farmer's farmer. And I can say that because I've been told by other farmers that Steve is a go-to guy in the world of farming.
My.
Yes, but your family, your second generation, so it's in your blood.
Right, and all the neighbors used to grow vegetables around when I was a youngster.
Oh, no kidding.
Places are all in houses and everything now. It was mostly vegetables.
Wow, great. Okay, we're in tomato season, and we call it this time of year the Tomato Festival. Is that right?
Yeah, we have one coming up soon.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
Great,
yeah.
great.
And
Now, you seem to have some really terrific looking tomatoes, and I'm guessing they fall in the heirloom category.
we grow both hybrids and heirlooms.
Hybrids and
Yeah.
heirlooms. Yeah, I'm sure there's multiple varieties.
Right, the heirlooms are generally what they call an open pollinated variety that has been preserved by different families or groups or countries for generations because of something about the tomato that they liked.
Yeah.
And the hybrids have been developed to pretty much solve the problems with the heirlooms that they didn't like.
Oh, there you go. I'm guessing, I don't know, there's probably 30, 40 varieties of tomatoes that are grown.
Oh, there are hundreds.
Hundreds, really?
We grow about 75,
Really?
and I think we grew 80 something a few years ago. We've been narrowing it down a little bit.
Based on demand, what the
Well,
consumer
and,
likes?
yeah, and how they come out and how they taste, and
Yeah.
whether people do like them or not.
Wow. Yeah, this is, I'm a tomato fanatic. I love tomato with everything I eat. And whether it's slicing in a salad, as an ingredient in the dish, it's just whatever it is about tomatoes. And if I don't stop eating all the sweets down in your farm stand, then I'm getting to have that tomato look.
Well, we can give you a little exercise in the field to get rid of that, all right?
I actually worked on a vegetable farm when I was 14 years old, 7 days a week, 12 hours a day in the fields. And no, I do not want to do it again. It's very difficult work. But why don't we start talking about these tomatoes?
Well, we start all of our own tomato plants from seed in the greenhouse earlier in the spring. And as I said, we have about 75 varieties.
Wow.
And we start 3 or 4 different plantings so that we can stagger the peak yield of the different varieties along. And also it's a little insurance against the blight, which always gets us sooner or later, but we'll always have another crop coming along that
Really?
so we don't have to depend on the first plants to go the whole season.
So I guess a question that pops right in my head is, how many plants do you plant?
And we do about 18,000.
Good God.
Yeah, and
Now-
they're all trellised with a stake and weave system where we put a 4-foot stake between every second plant and weave the strings in and out horizontally. And as the plants grow, we add more strings about 6 inches apart.
Wow.
we use 6-foot stakes with the cherries and some of the indeterminate varieties that will climb more.
18,000 plants. I love tomatoes, as I just said. I don't know if I could handle 18,000 plants.
Well, they're good, and the sun gold, well, the cherries are usually the first ones to come in.
Yeah.
And this is a sun gold variety. We have others in other colors and things, but
What is the profile of this? Is it a sweeter tomato?
generally the ones, the yellower they are, usually the less acid they are,
Oh, wow.
and the redder they are, the sweeter they are.
Mm.
Well, they're sweet and acid, but
Yeah.
the yellow ones tend to have less acid.
Right. So are these cherry or grape? Is there a
These
difference?
are cherry, yeah. These are the grape tomatoes. They're in another
Yeah.
category. They tend to be a little drier, I think, than some of the others.
Uh-huh.
And similar to it's a small version of a plum, I suppose, in a way.
Right. Yeah.
And the plums are a drier tomato for sauces.
Right.
These come in different sizes and colors, and makes a pretty plate if you were to slice them in half. And
Oh, yeah.
put them on a salad
I'd like to
plate.
take a
Go
green
ahead.
one out, if you don't
Try
mind.
that. You get a hold of it?
Yeah, so that's actually ripe,
Right,
even
yes.
though it's green.
Yep.
All right. I'm going to take a bite of this. Delicious.
Good. You like? The yellow and
Wow.
and these are some of the hybrids. This is a Jet Star. That's one of the earlier hybrids that's been very dependable for most of the farms around for a number of years. And it's a very nice tomato. It used to win the tomato contest, the state contest we have in Boston every year. It won that for a number of years, and lately some of the newer ones have been beating it out, as well as some of the heirloom tomatoes.
So, in the contest, what are the determining factors? Shape?
Shape, not so much, especially with heirlooms. They've, I was the one that pushed getting heirlooms into the contest about 15 years ago, probably 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because some of the heirlooms aren't too pretty looking, and
Right.
they might be cracked, and you're not going to get some of the varieties that don't have cracks and deformities. Some of these hybrids have been very popular for a long while, and a lot of them would have been developed to solve some of the problems that we had with the heirlooms. Some of the heirlooms would be cracked, so they'd breed a pretty looking tomato, especially when we got the people buying things in the supermarkets. Probably 60, 70 years ago was the beginning of the fad where everybody wanted something that looked beautiful. But yeah, with the advent of the supermarkets, they wanted a uniform, pretty tomato, uniform color, no green shoulders, no cracks. Had to be firm enough to travel from Florida or California to Boston and not get damaged. And that was what led tomato breeding for quite a number of years. And we lost a lot of the characteristics that the heirlooms had. Some of them had superior flavors, different natures that weren't in the newer hybrids. But as long as they were solid and you could throw them off the wall, and they still look good to the supermarket. Well, that's what people wanted to buy.
Yeah.
But more recently, they've gone back to paying more attention to the flavor and breeding tomato varieties.
Good.
Ultra Sweet is another very similar looking one to Jet Star, and they were working there by the name, of course, to get a sweeter variety. And we move over, as I said earlier, the orange and yellow ones tend to be a little sweeter. These are the orange blossom. That's some people call it an heirloom and some don't, but generally I think it doesn't quite meet muster as being an heirloom, but it is an old variety, very popular tomato.
Wow.
Then we get into, this is one of the heirlooms, the red zebra. I don't know whether you can see from here the striping on them or not, but
Yeah.
there's a red zebra and a green zebra, and they both have very pretty striping as well as nice flavor. And if you take some of those and put them on a plate with some red ones, and maybe we grab one of these. This is a Black Prince type. This is actually a newer version of it, but they tend to be almost brown looking when they're really ripe. But you mix all these colors up on a plate and you can have a very pretty salad and a nice variety of flavors.
Wow.
Yeah, this is a big rainbow, and as you can see, it's quite a colorful tomato. And the colors on these go into the fruit too, so when you slice them on a plate, it gives a very nice presentation. And
Wow.
these are popular both with the housewife and the chefs in some of the restaurants where they want to put on a nice pretty salad.
Right. I'm guessing you can go online and take a look at the different varieties that we would see from local farmers, and there must be some flavor profiles there.
Not in detail. There's a lot of flavor that's very difficult to describe. They don't have quite the vocabulary to go with it like they do with wines.
Wines, right.
But it's generally a mixture of
Yeah.
sweet and acid is what they talk about.
Sweet and acid.
And then the amount of juiciness and
Yeah.
how firm it is. So if you slice it, you know,
Okay.
some you can slice good for a sandwich and some are difficult.
Right. So the farmer's farmer just gave you some great tips. You know, you could get some descriptions. Is it juicy? Is it fleshy? So again, it's up to the individual palate. It's subjective what we all like. And as Mr. Verrill, Steve Verrill just told you, he plants 70 varieties.
75, yeah.
75 varieties. So you have a pretty broad spectrum. And one other thing, I don't mean to prolong this segment because of timing issues, but the tomato contest is coming up in Boston.
It's an annual event that's been going on about 25 years now.
Okay.
And farmers from all over the state bring in the tomatoes once a year, and they collect a panel of judges that go through and come up with winners in different categories, like the slicer or heirloom, cherries, plum, different categories.
Okay. Now, is that open to the public, or is that a closed event for just farmers?
No,
or-
anybody can enter it. Anybody can.
But I
enter
mean,
it.
could the public win and view the different
You can view,
varieties?
yeah. No, there's not tasting per se, but you
Okay.
can view.
Where is that held?
Well, this year it's been at City Hall Plaza, but this year it's going to be in the new farmers market that the new farmers market that's just opened.
Oh, wow. And do they have handout sheets on planting? And so if you want to try some growing your own?
Yeah, they don't there, no. You can get all that online pretty easily.
Okay, great. Well, we want to thank you for viewing, and I'll tell you, Verrill Farm in Concord has been here, oh God, 100
Longer than I have.
yeah, good 150 years.
Well, the farm's been here for much longer than that, but
Oh, Verrill.
been our family for almost 100 now.
100 years, and it's just a fabulous facility, and it's really a working farm. There's a horse stables here. I hear the rooster crowing in the background.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Jones.
Jones, yeah. And so you just have a lot here to offer, and just if you love going to farms and getting back to the good old earth, this is a great place to come. So on behalf of the Chef's Table Foundation, I'd like to thank Steve Verrill from Verrill Farms
Thank you.
as a supporter of the Chef's Table Foundation. Thank you.
Hi folks, Steve LeCount, chef owner of Chiara Bistro in Westwood, coming at you with this week's Chef's Tip. This week I'd like to talk a little bit about knife safety and cutting safety, and that's why I have a carrot and a parsnip in front of me. Basically, I'm going to peel this really quickly and then show you a few different cuts and how you can do them in a safe manner. And the reason I picked both of these vegetables is because of their shape. And most home cooks who don't have professional knife skills, when they do cut their finger, it's usually slicing a round vegetable of some sort, like a carrot or a parsnip, which makes sense. I mean, they roll around on the cutting board, and next thing you know, your knife is not on the carrot, it's on your finger. So we'll just put that aside a little bit. I'm using a typical French knife here for this. Important to have a very sharp knife when you're doing a firm vegetable like that. So I want to cut the ends off of these, and then we'll show you a few different cuts. And I'm going to start with, now, to eliminate most of the danger, one of the best things you can do is just take a little slice off of that. Now you've got a flat surface to rest that on. So if you want carrot wheels for something, you know, you've got a little bit of leverage there instead of that thing rolling around on you. If I want to cut carrot sticks, I still have that leverage because it's flat, and I can do things like that and then just pile them on top of each other and cut my carrot sticks. Let's say I want to finely dice that for some reason. I'm going to do the same thing. Take a little piece off, let that flat side. I'm just going to cut these thinner now, and then stack a couple of them together. And notice the motion. I'm not cutting down like this, which I see a lot of home cooks doing. It's actually a rocking motion. I'm starting at the front part of this knife, and I'm pushing forward like that. Okay? As I'm doing, I'm tucking these 4 fingers, bending them so my knuckles are resting against the blade of that knife. And that's what's keeping me from cutting the tips of my left fingers off. So once I have them finely diced like that, I just turn that sideways, and now I'll go a little bit faster, and you can still see that rocking motion. Again, I'm not doing this. I'm pushing forward, and then I'm moving the knife sideways and doing it again. Sideways, doing it again. And it's that easy to dice it, things that small. And let me just get these shavings out of the way. And I'm going to show you a bias cut next. Again, we had the carrot sticks, a couple of rounds, the fine dice, and I'll take this parsnip. We'll do a bias cut. So I'm going to notice I'm just putting that. I'm using that tip of that knife right there. You should be able to see that pretty well. And I'm just pushing down and then pushing down, and that's my nice flat surface. And I'm going to angle cut this, okay, into pieces like that, a nice bias cut. This looks nice in stews and, you know, maybe with a roast chicken or something like that. But again, using that same, I just have to pick the knife up a little higher because of the height of the parsnip itself, but I'm still using that same rocking motion all the way through to the end of this. So there you go. Nice, lots of shapes, all of it done very quickly, but most importantly, very safely, and all my fingers are intact. Steve LeCount with this week's Chef's Tip of the Week.
58, so they've been around
Long
for a little
before
while.
us.
Yes. This is kind of...
Hi, we're back at Verrill Farm in Concord, Massachusetts with Steve Verrill, the farmer's farmer.